Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canvas and Conversation Stories Beyond the Frame, a SANTV series where we explore the journeys, inspirations, and creative processes of South Asian artists shaping today's cultural landscape. In this episode, we are delighted to be joined by Sarmed Mirza, an artist whose work navigates the space between realism and abstraction, weaving together influences from film, fine art, and writing. With recognitions such as the Scottish Portrait Awards and the John Moore's Painting Prize, Sarmad's practice challenges us to see art as not only an object, but as a dialogue, an act of courage, and a reflection of society. Let's step into his world and discover the stories behind the canvas. Welcome to the show.
Hi Ranjit, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you too?
Some introduction.
Sarma, let's start. You worked across fine art, film, and writing. What first drew you towards painting and visual arts as a medium of expression?
That's very interesting. You said fine art, film, and writing.
Yes.
Actually, it was the other way around. It was writing, filmmaking, and then fine art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I grew up reading a lot of books. I was very fascinated by storytelling, and I wanted to be a part of that dialogue. I used to read children's stories and also translations in Urdu, from classic novels and books. And I just got addicted to it. The human experience. That's why we watch films as well, isn't it?
Yes.
And then I remember the first time I watched a film and it had an effect on me. That was Sholay.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And I told this story to Amitabh Bachchan sir once. When he was on the podium, we were in the crowd. I was showing a film in London, and I said, "You got me addicted to storytelling, to filmmaking, because that film had such an effect on me." And then further on, so many other pieces. But writing was my first love, and I started writing at a very young age, 11 years old. And that later on, that piece got published. I was writing in school, so that journey took me to writing for television and film. I made a feature film here in Scotland. We were nominated for a BAFTA New Talent Award, which was a surprise, but also it was a testament to the teamwork that we had. So, filmmaking became much of a bigger project, teams and obviously finance is involved. I was more interested in a direct sort of relationship with creativity. So I was more into writing, but then when you produce a film, you go through so many other hoops. So I went back to writing rather than production. And then I started working with some productions, abroad in Asian television networks. I wrote films for private productions, helped them with scripts. And along the way, and I started also acting. I used to go, आप मुझे writing का काम देंगे? They were like, आपने acting करनी है? I'm like, अच्छा, acting भी कर लेते हैं. So I did some amateur theatre in Scotland as well. My first play was Kafka's Trial at the Tramway. That was also fun, because I think I was more interested in the unknown. So acting is, improvisation is something, you delve into part of you that you don't even know what you're going to come up with.
Exactly.
That also excited me. That also made me a little afraid, like what if I fail? And I think the threshold of that was very interesting to me. So eventually what happened, I got some success in writing and acting, but there was a deeper part of me that was not very satisfied. It was like, what are you doing here? Like, well, what else do you want me to do? Sari zindagi to you want to be part of this kind of process. And I felt very lost then. I was like, if I'm not fulfilled doing the work, I'm earning money, I'm making a living as well, what else do I want? And, in Scotland, I was looking for a place where I could write and I didn't have to pay too much. I didn't have a lot of money then. I was writing an episode, 3 episodes I wanted to write for a TV series.
Okay.
So I was looking for retreats or places. I couldn't afford any, they were very expensive. Then I found this Buddhist retreat center.
Okay.
It's an amazing place. It's in Balquhidder here in Scotland. And it was like donations. I'm like, okay, the suggested donations were also affordable.
Yeah.
So I went there. I booked and went. And they said, so I said, can I actually, write as well during the program? It was like a 1-week yoga meditation thing. They were like, yeah, you can, but the meditation, you will have to do it at certain times. So, okay, no. So I did some meditation there. Obviously, part of the meditation was like, oh, it activated a part of me. And then I kept a notebook on the side. I would close my eyes and I would meditate, and then ideas would come. I would write them down. Then later I'm like, no, actually, I want to do this more. I'll do the writing later. And I sat down and I kept on meditating, as part of the project. It just took me to another place within me, the quiet space where I had never really experienced anything like that. My mind kind of grabs onto this technique, wants to go more and more further in. So over years, the time came when I was not very satisfied with the acting and the writing. I'm like, what do you do? And I had an accident, and I later realized, normally aise hi hota hai, like something major happens. I was quite frustrated. I was like, okay, I fell, I broke my elbow, and I dislocated it as well at the same time. Okay. I just quieted down, like, okay, just be quiet, and don't ask any more questions. Plaster was on, and for I think 4 or 6 weeks, I had that on. And I just practiced that meditation to manage my pain. But it took me to a much deeper place because I was so quiet. I was alone as well. I told everybody to just let me be so I could be with myself. And at the end of it, I didn't want to come out of the meditative space.
All right.
So I kept on bringing that into my daily life.
Yeah.
It happened for about 1.5 years. And then I felt, oh, something is bubbling up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, maybe I should go to that meditation place again. And there was a 7-day silent retreat.
All right.
I go, okay, who's going to do that?
Right.
It's hard. Sitting there for hours, being quiet. Mujhe chup karana mushkil hai.
Yeah.
How am I going to stay quiet? I went anyway. And at the end of it, there was something that just happened. Some part just clicked. I was in front of this beautiful scenery. Quiet, no thoughts, no concepts, no words. You come down to a place where when you're doing that kind of meditation, which is like non-judgmental, silent watchfulness, you get into a place where there's nothing there. Everything is just settled down. And that transformed my, I don't even know how to explain it actually.
Right.
It just transformed the way I experienced myself and my environment. And I got interested in the inner seeing was happening.
Yeah.
I got interested in the outer seeing. Like, I have not really looked at anything. It was almost a renewal. I slowed down, started again almost. And drawing became a method of looking at things.
Okay.
It wasn't because I wanted to be an artist. And then the journey started from there of my art career.
Excellent. You mentioned about being an 11-year-old, start writing and everything. Tell us about your background, where you are coming from, and where did you grow up?
I was born in Pakistan, and my father actually was from he was from a very humble background, but he was a very self-made man. So he became a writer. He was an activist for democracy and spokesperson for democracy in the 70s. So there was a lot of that kind of environment around me, writers like Faiz Ahmad Faiz Saab and, big thinkers of the time. And so I was influenced by that, but I was very young. But I was like the fly on the wall, right? So naturally, I started to imbibe some of those interests. And then later on, I moved to US. I studied there for a while. Then I went to India. And I lived in India for 3 years, and that experience really transformed me. I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
And I lived off the earth almost. I had no money. I was away from my dad. And I wanted to find out who I was. And I thought I would find out by doing things. Like I would achieve, maybe I'll get into the film industry, or maybe I'll do writing, maybe I'll do this, that, the other. But I found that quiet space. The whole experience was so transformative for me.
Right.
So I owe a lot to, those few years that I spent there. I met my wife there, who's actually from Bihar, but then we went in Mumbai. And so that was a bit of my back. I mean, there's so many stories I could tell you, but your viewers are going to get on with it.
No,
so, I mean, I was always, my father was actually a doctor here before I was even born.
Yeah.
So we naturally had that, citizenship and that sort of thing. And I just wanted to travel. I was like, I don't care which passport, just let me in everywhere. I want to go and meet people. I loved looking at cultures. I loved looking at how people access their spirituality, how they come together and stay together and laugh and smile despite the differences of anything,
Yeah.
So that was beautiful to me.
Excellent.
And that motivated me to experience that more for myself, and
Right.
that became part of my whatever I wanted to write about or paint or explore.
Exploring. Your paintings are set to explore the space between realism and abstraction. Now, how do you decide where to place yourself on that spectrum in each work you do?
I feel like I'm like a pendulum.
Right. So you swung.
I swing. Yeah. But I think I'm an explorer.
Right.
Somebody asked me, and this is not just I'm just randomly saying this. It's beyond words. The kind of experiences we can have and we have as human beings. We are very limited by language.
Yes.
So I'm just pardon me if I appear very cliched about it, but yeah, I think I'm just naturally very inquisitive. I want to have novel experiences, and I don't try to seek them too much. A lot of I'm open to them, and I just let it lead me. And I think there's a bit of neurodiversity kind of aspect to it.
Right.
And I realized it much later in life about my certain tendencies, like I explored ADHD and those kind of like aspects of how the brain works. And I realized, a lot of that becomes very hard to deal with when we are put into like systems.
Yeah.
And I felt like I couldn't fit into systems. Like I said, if I was working in an industry and working for them, my inner gyro is making me want to explore something different.
Yes.
Then I have deadlines, and and I found I wanted to be not a lone rider, but I wanted to be a bit more freer with the availability of experiences and my intuition reacting to them.
Excellent.
So that's what's been really interesting for me to explore. And I think art has been the best thing because there is no producer.
Yes.
There is no publisher. There is no like 2-year wait list to get the film on screen. That's great too. I wanted a bit more immediacy to it.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear that. So the idea of visual listening seems central to your practice as well.
Yeah.
So could you explain what it means for you as an artist?
You also asked about the realism and abstraction, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, when we come to like just artwork, like on the paper we draw something. Even if you draw realistically, it's still abstract. It's not real. It's not a real person or real thing.
Exactly, yes.
So that's one aspect to look at the realism and abstraction. I found the connection between word and wordlessness as that ongoing sort of connection we have with the world. When we can't explain something, but we feel it. We find it so hard. I can't explain what I just tasted, this beautiful coffee I just, had. I can't explain it and you can't taste it. You can imagine it.
Yes.
So the visceral experience is very hard to transfer.
It's transferred.
So in terms of realism and abstraction, there is quite an interesting, you said dialogue. Realism, we understand, we say, okay, this is a face, this is this, that, the other, reality, natural reality around us. And abstraction kind of brings in a totally different element of human experiencing. And it's a big, vast subject, and so many angles to it. So I made a painting series, made over 100 paintings as an exploration of a subject, which I visited in US in 2019. And during COVID, I started to paint. And as I was painting the familiar landscape of that area, which was Monument Valley, after a while I was like, okay, dekh liya, And then I started to see other things within the structure. The pictures I've taken, huge, big structures. So I started to zoom into those. It almost felt like different moments that I hadn't seen. And it just was interesting to me. And I kept on painting. Then I, naturally think, is anybody else going to like it? Understand it? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I just was fascinated by that.
Yes.
And I started to choose moments which look very abstract, but painted realistically.
Yes.
Then what happened? I had again that urge start to, the inner urge starts to come. Like I wanted to paint something I hadn't seen before. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was very hard. I didn't want to waste paint. It's a very natural artist dilemma. I didn't want to waste canvas, but the fear is actually to fail, and the effort itself can be difficult. So I started using the leftover paint of that series. Every time I finish a painting, I use the scrape off the paint and work with that.
Work.
And interesting things started to happen. And I put them away. I'm like, "Ye kya hai? Pata nahi kya hai."
Okay.
And after 6 months, I would look back. Somebody comes in my studio and goes like, "Oh, I like that."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What that?" Oh, and then I look at it. I'm like, "Oh, I see something totally different," because I'd forgotten about it. And that way, you know, the abstraction started to come into place. But it was never, let me make an abstract. Let me look at a video and make an abstract like that. That is fine too.
Yeah.
There are many ways to access your
that.
creativity. My journey has been very interesting. There's so many other things, but that was particularly very interesting to me, that I followed my intuition. And something came out with it which became 2 or 3 series that were exhibited and that sort of thing. So it's just a part of that exploration. So when you say visual listening, a lot of people say, you know, realism. Why make something which could be just a photograph anyway?
Yeah.
Right? That happens.
Yeah.
And I learned realism in the beginning because I wanted to really deeply see. So if you're making something realistic, you then can check. Yes, I really noticed everything there because I have replicated. And also, you learn skills. That's also what motivated me to teach later on. But then what happens is, what happened with me was, okay, I can see and I can draw and paint whatever is there. What's next? So the visual listening was where I was still looking at it and finding these new moments, and then transferring them onto the canvas in a realistic way.
Yeah.
And then something totally different happened, where I was using the same palette making something. So I really became aware of this visual listening aspect of my own practice when I went to Italy a few years back. And I love to go to high energy places, spiritual places. I've been to Vaishno Devi, I've been to, then again in Italy I went to the Vatican. I love that kind of energy. You know, there's a palpable energy of people around, and you have the history also in the back, you know about the place. And I looked at all the frescoes and beautiful colors. I went into this shop, Bordi shop, it's in Italy, in Rome. And there were these the paint tubes, you know, big paint tubes lying there. And I worked with 3 colors, mainly, red, yellow and blue, you know, like the primary colors, to keep myself very disciplined. And I was like, "Nee, extra colors nahi, abhi, you know, you have to graduate to that." So you have, I made 100 paintings with just these 3 colors.
These 3. Yeah.
There was this Italian guy who was like not very good English, and he was telling a couple of you know, the visitors, you know, shop in the shop. He was telling them off. Like, "Oh, yeah, strict banda hai bhai." And then I was like, okay, you know, I was trying to avoid him, and I went into this section. I heard a voice, "No, pakde gaye," right? And he was like, that was his like back end station. I was like, sorry.
Yeah.
And so he, then I was looking at these colors. I was like, you know, somehow I was so attracted to these colors because they had these swatches, you know what color?
Yeah.
Like teals and beautiful mauves, and like, oh, I want some of these. I'm like, why? No, I'm gonna, you know, buy it. So I bought 10 of those big tubes. I checked online, you know, is it cheaper than anyway? I bought it. I showed this guy as well one of my paintings. He was like, "Where are you from?" I showed him one of the paintings. It was, there's another story for another time.
Yeah.
And he really liked it, became very friendly with me.
Okay.
Yeah. When I came back, I used those tubes. One day I'm like, I'm just going to paint something. I just started painting. And quite a few experiments came out, and I realized the pictures I'd taken in the frescoes and all, these were all those colors. I didn't even realize I was taking all that visual information, that visual listening was happening.
All right.
And that was part of that, and that made me realize, oh my God, how much more, you know, what can we expose and how can we expose ourselves to the natural world, to environment, to each other, because everything is being recorded.
Yes.
And if you're tuned into it, the intuition will tell you, you know, what wants to come up. Most of the time we go like, okay, 6 months I have to paint this and that's it. We ignore a lot of that, we push it down. Which is fine, we have to do it sometimes. But that was the first awareness I had. I'm like, okay, it's my environment, my realism skills, because I learned to see so deeply, is informing my intuitive process. And I call that visual listening, and there's much more to it, but in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, excellent. Being selected for the Scottish Portrait Awards and reaching the second stage of the John Moores Painting Prize are remarkable milestones as a South Asian artist, especially in this country. Yeah? What do you think those recognitions say about your style and the themes that you explore?
It's very interesting because I was not going to enter into any awards.
All right, okay.
I wasn't even thinking of awards because I'm going through my own personal practice. I didn't even know how to present it or to write about it,
Yeah,
which I then developed later on because I
Right.
was in it.
Yeah.
I was walking one day to go to the National Gallery in London.
Right.
I was walking on the embankment.
Uh-huh.
And on the left side, the right side, you have the River Thames, and on left, you have a lot of these small galleries and other shops. I was just walking into galleries just to have a look. There was this gallery which had the Derwent Prize exhibition happening.
Okay.
Walked in and I saw this guy. Like, I recognize this guy. Who is this? Oh. And I realized, I'm like, oh, he was one of the winners of Sky Portrait Artist of the Year award.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, okay, I hung around. Then I eventually talked to him. Great conversation. He asked me humbly, like, very, very nice guy. I met him again in London a few months ago. He said, show me your work. So I showed him the old man, the muddy man drawing, right? I'm like, that's really good. You must enter into a competition. I'm like, why? I'm like, no, you must. He said, he told me his story. He was like, I was just a school teacher. I started entering, awards and won some. Then I got into the Sky Portrait Award, and then I was offered a National Theatre residency. He was a resident at that time as a resident artist. Like, doors open for you. I know you probably don't think about it, but doors open. Please, you have to enter it. Like, okay, fine, I'll enter it. He said, no, promise me you're going to enter it.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, Baba, I promise.
I
Oh,
promise.
God.
Yeah.
We exchanged details. I went back, I looked, and then there was a Scottish Portrait Awards happening. I'm like, that's local to me. I live in Glasgow. So I entered it. I forgot about it. Literally forgot about it. Normally, you don't forget about it. You check every day,
What's
like, have
happened
I,
and all that, yeah.
I literally forgot about it.
Yeah.
Then I got the call. You've been, selected as one of the finalists.
Wow.
Oh, okay, interesting. Felt good,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a very interesting thing because, I was like, this is a very realistic drawing. But
Yes.
my story behind it was, I had told them, that's another story anyway. I then started to look at awards as a thing where, like he said, opens doors. People talk about it. It's a collective thing. Yes, you get sense of achievement and stuff, but in art, it's so subjective.
Yes.
So, I entered my Monument Valley, which won an award this year at the Paisley Art Institute, 136th annual exhibition. These guys have like long traditions of celebrating art. John Moore's was something I was not going to enter because I thought my work was not suitable for it.
Okay.
So when you say, realism, abstraction, like, I wasn't really sure. And somebody, again, in my studio building, on the landing, just passing by, why don't you, and she had seen my work in one of my open studio visits, why don't you enter into John Moore's? I'm like, what's that? She looked at me like, what kind of artist are you? You don't know John Moore painting prize. I went and had a look. I'm like, oh, that's not for me.
Not for you.
That's not the kind of work I do. So this year, I was looking at the list and I'm like, you know what, I'll just send it anyway. And it got to the second stage.
Wow.
And I was told that my friend, bless her, and her husband are very good painters, and they were like, we haven't gotten it for 30 years. We've been trying. So I only looked at it as, जो दिखता है वो कहते हैं वो बिकता है.
Yeah.
But basically है कि अगर कोई देखेगा नहीं, कोई आप बना किस लिए रहे हो?
Yeah.
मैं तो अपने लिए बना रहा हूँ. I'm making it from my own
yes.
experience.
Yes.
But I want to share that experience.
Yes.
When you talk about the dialogue.
Yes.
So I think, these are opportunities that, I can go really strongly about, like trying to sell it. Fine, that's another aspect. But I didn't become an artist to sell art and that sort of thing.
So
That's
commercial
art.
aspect wasn't your...
That was not at all in my mind. I didn't even know, I had never even thought of art till that meditative experience and then further on. There's another experience that happened that made me realize I want to explore it as an artist, like a proper full-on thing. Again, the exploration of the human experience.
Yes.
Till then, it was just one of the exercises I wanted to look deeper. It fooled me. It fooled me. So, when you talk about awards, I think it's a good thing to do. We have a competitive nature as human beings. We can leverage that, But at the same time, we have a participation aspect to it, tribal species. And I think we celebrate a lot of things together as well. So we can balance that. And I think when it goes out and thank you for inviting me today. I hope this story, is heard by someone and they can relate to it. And because I heard other people's stories, I'm like, yeah, you know, it's a collective
Yes.
energy that
It is.
propels us.
It is.
And I think art is one of the best ways to do it without that interruption of, you know, productions and work and everything. That's fine. But, you know, if you want to really go deeper, it's one of the best ways to do it.
Can we introduce your art? One of your
One of the,
pieces.
yeah, sure. This is a drawing.
Yeah.
This is a drawing. This is a picture.
Yeah.
Do we have time for it?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, please.
This is a picture. I took this photograph
Yeah.
on.
I think it comes on our cameras as well. That
Yeah.
this is the art you were saying. Yes.
That's right. You can also maybe superimpose a picture.
Yeah.
Later. So what happened was, I was working as an actor on a TV series in the hills of Murray,
Uh-huh.
and I took this guy was there at the set, and I took a picture of him, and you know, he was looking at me, and there was an unspoken dialogue that happened.
Right.
So I looked at him, and I put the camera up. I was acting, but actually I had my camera around. You know, I was also helping the production because I had experience in that. So I was kind of in the back scene as well. And he just looked at me and kept on looking and posed, and I took that picture. So that picture remained with me. And I showed it to many people, and every time I would show it, people would go, oh, look at this face, wow, you know, what stories he has in his face. But that picture kept on coming back. Later, much later, when I started to draw, COVID happened. And during COVID, I was doing other projects, but I was like, okay, maybe I should draw him. And one of my artist friends said, why don't you draw that picture?
Yeah,
okay. You know, too many now signals are coming. So I started drawing this, you know, this guy. And during the drawing, I realized something. I realized, so my dad's dad, my granddad was in Nottingham, you know, he retired there. When I was a kid in Pakistan, I wanted to meet him, but I could never travel. My dad used to come, but you know, it just didn't transpire. But I'm naraz tha dad se. I want to go and listen to my granddad's stories, and I want to meet him before he passes away. He passed away. But I remember his photograph, and I realized it was exactly like this guy.
Wow.
I'm like, oh. I'm like, wow. And somehow, when I was making it, there was like this. Can't even explain it. I even get goosebumps now because it's such a personal experience.
It is.
I finished the drawing. I felt some kind of catharsis had happened, some kind of dialogue had happened. And I mean, later you go like, yeah, art has healing properties.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's so cliche, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay. I didn't even know what to make of it. So this is the one I sent to the Scottish Portrait Awards, became the finalist. Right? And I was like, why am I doing realism? I feel like doing other things. I want to go into abstraction. But I followed that instinct.
Yes.
It wasn't like, let me make this picture because it looked good. It was some, you know, energy inside that was making me.
Made you do that.
Made me do that. Didn't know why. Later I realized why.
Yeah.
So the meditation had helped me to be more sensitive to these signs. So later, this year, my aunt, my dad's eldest sister, younger sister, but my dad's favorite, you know, sister. They were very close, and favorite brother. She passed away, very old, very accomplished lady. So I went to Nottingham to the funeral. So I met some of my cousins after many, many years. And while we were talking, they were like, "Okay, kya kar rahe ho aajkal? You know what you've been up to?" And I told them a little bit about, like, I'm doing art. And they were like, okay, show us. Then I was like, oh, my granddad is their granddad, right? My cousins. I'm like, I told them this story. I said, you know what happened? I made this drawing. And during it, I felt, looked like one of those photos. It looked like one of those photos of my granddad, our granddad. And when they were like, okay, let me see. So I showed it to my cousin. And he's older, much older than I am. He looked at him and go like, oh yes, that's him. And I was like, it's not in my head, you know? It's not just in my head. Like, and I was like, I want to show it to a couple of others just in case. He's too old now, maybe, you know, he's forgotten. So, oh yeah. You know, Fazal, his name was.
Yeah.
And you know what happened after that? Took me to his grave.
Oh.
So this story, I mean, has traveled.
Traveled.
And it's not just making a picture for an award or this or that, the other.
Yeah.
You know, art can become such a vehicle for,
Yeah.
like I said, exploring the human journey. And I just was like, oh my God, like it's a gift that keeps giving. Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Wow. What an inspiring journey and a story. And it's not finished yet. We have more to explore about Sarmed's journey into more fine art and his teaching and how he clubbed both these areas together. We will see that in the next episode. Until next time, it's Ranjit Shankarnarayan signing off. Take care.